Hello Nurlan, this is my feedback to your evidence paragraph from last week. In today's small group tutorial, it became obvious that you know how to do the paragraph. Maybe after you saw the model, you realize how you need to do it. So I'm just gonna give feedback on what I'm seeing here. Of course, you did not have a model to work with, so you didn't know what exactly you needed to do. But even so, you still have something, a good kernel here, a good kernel of an idea. So obviously for the exam you need to start with an identification paragraph in which you will mention the exact supporting idea and then the evidence, and you will list the evidence that is used to support that particular idea, and then you will evaluate the evidence. So here you say the document submitted as confirmation. You would need to actually name that document more precisely. What is it, right? And then you would say, first you'll start with the supporting idea, which is that it may be illegal. Now you're saying here that it does not apply to the description of the illegality of this action in the internship. In other words, it's not relevant. And I would agree with that. Also, this document to some extent refers to his statement, but not to a direct statement of illegality. So it is somewhat relevant. So up to here, you have basically talked about the relevance. It is presented well in the video, but he did not specify where he got this document from. This does not interest us. We're just looking at the document, and what we've done here, you have talked about the relevance, which is good. And I agree with your conclusion. It's not relevant. Of course, in the exam, you have to name the exact document. You have to write a much longer paragraph, as you know. But let's just look at this document now. And it's right, you're right that he did not specify where he got it from. And actually where he got it from, this was supposed to be the Civil Rights Code. He's showing what he wants us to believe, that he's showing us an excerpt from the Civil Rights Code, which will lend credibility to his argument that these internships may be illegal. But what he's actually showing, if you look it up, you'll see, and in the exam, in situations like that, it would be a good idea to look up the sources just to see that they actually say what the speaker is attributing to them. In this case, they're not. The document doesn't say what the speaker says the document is claiming. What happens is, he's taken, this is not really the Civil Rights Code, it's actually a lawyer who responds to a request. There's an inquiry, and it's a request for clarification, and the question is an intern considered an employee? And there's a long response from the lawyer, and that's what he's showing. The speaker in this video is actually showing an excerpt from that response by the lawyer. But the lawyer is not saying that it's illegal. The lawyer basically says, in some cases, interns are considered employees. In other cases, interns are not considered employees. Now, why is that important? That's important because according to the Civil Rights Code, an employee cannot be hired on the basis of things like gender, race, or whatever. So it really becomes a very important question. Are all of these interns hired into those diversity programs that the speaker is so harshly criticizing? Are they considered employees legally or not? And the speaker would want us to believe that they are. But actually the excerpt he shows from that lawyer's response to the inquiry it's not clear that they are. The lawyer basically says there are certain requirements, certain factors you need to consider. In some cases they are, in some cases they aren't an employee. So in that sense, you're right that this document is not relevant because it does not directly prove the illegality. In fact, that document says it depends on all kinds of factors and circumstances, and the lawyer goes to great lengths to actually list all the cases in which an intern would be considered an employee and other cases in which they wouldn't. So the speaker has just chosen to use that excerpt from the response to the inquiry as if it was the legal code, as if it was proof of the illegality. Now, so it's not relevant in that sense. Of course, he uses, for this particular supporting idea, he uses that document. If you had to write a fuller paragraph, is it sufficient? No, it's not sufficient, obviously. I mean, you need, if you wanna talk about legal documents, you would need to look at actions, at all kinds of decisions, court decisions, precedents, whatever, based on the American corporate law to prove that this is indeed illegal. And of course, the speaker doesn't do that. So one document, which is not even the Civil Rights Code, is not going to be enough. Is it representative? Again, to what extent are these internships? To what extent can we say that all interns are employees? If you can prove that all of them are employees, then okay, it's illegal to hire them based on gender and race and whatnot. But you cannot do that. You cannot prove that because there's so many diversity programs, so many internships where these interns are not considered employees. So that is not even representative. So you would write all of this in a fuller paragraph. And I know you know how to do that because today you showed us a more or less decent paragraph. There will be more practice next week. Another model is coming up. I would suggest you go back to these models and study them carefully. They will teach you what you need to do. And good luck on the exam.